This is the End Zone. Let's move the chains. We're going to be doing a lot of Pac-12 football previews and predictions because the Pac-12 so far is the only conference at the time that I'm making this video that has full schedules out. With that being said, let's take a look at the Oregon Ducks and their 2020 season. But first, let's take a look back at 2019. 12-2 was the record for the Ducks in 2019, finishing with a nice win in the Rose Bowl over the Wisconsin Badgers. Over the past 4 years, the Ducks have progressed and made huge strides as a program, going from 4-8 to 7-6 to 9-4 and finally to 12-2. Mario Cristobal in his third year, and he has changed the Oregon culture for the better. Pac-12 coaches has described his SEC style of recruiting as a main reason to why his defense and offensive lines have gotten to the point they are at now, and that dominance. Cristobal puts an emphasis on line play on both sides of the ball as a former offensive line coach for Nick Saban's Alabama teams. Cristobal is an elite recruiter, and we're starting to see that at Oregon. Now let's look at some of the key losses over this season. So this team loses two quarterbacks, arguably, for the 2020 season. First, he got Justin Herbert, the highly praised NFL prospect, and the quarterback of the defense, linebacker Troy Dye, who finished his career with 397 total tackles. Now, they did make some additions in the offseason, including new offensive coordinator Joe Moorhead. Moorhead joins as the new OC from Mississippi State. Moorhead is a guy who likes to utilize the mobile quarterback to open up the passing game, which leads us to Oregon's next addition, Anthony Brown from Boston College. Brown is a transfer who brings athleticism to an Oregon offense that will probably benefit from that skill set at the quarterback position. As I mentioned, Anthony Brown will be joining Oregon for the 2020 season, but the Ducks already have a signal caller who is ready to compete for the job in Tyler Show. Last season, he threw 15 passes, completed 12, and scored 3 touchdowns. While Show does not possess the athletic ability of Brown per se, he is familiar with the team, and Mario Cristobal said that Show was the starter in the spring and after the spring. Without an offseason, I think he could have a leg up on Brown, at least before Oregon hits the first bye week of the season. In my eyes, this is Show's job to lose. Here is where Oregon is loaded and doesn't lose too much, though. Jalen Redd, Johnny Johnson, they were the leading receivers last season and combined for 14 total touchdowns. Micah Pittman, also a guy I want to highlight. He returns along with Devon Williams and Brian Addison. CJ Verdell is back as the Ducks' starting running back, and he is my favorite running back in all of the Pac-12. His physical style earned him 1,200 yards rushing and 8 touchdowns. Behind him is Travis Dye, who rushed for 658 yards, and another guy to watch is Cyrus Habibi Likio. If I messed up that name, excuse me, but he scored 10 rushing touchdowns last year on 337 yards. The line is led by Penei Sewell, who is the best offensive lineman in all of college football as of now, and he looks to be one of, if not the top player drafted in the 2021 NFL Draft. Unfortunately, he is the only returning starter. Oregon has some guys who they are confident in, and they landed a pair of junior college transfers to fill that hole this year. Along the defense, it all starts with defensive end Kayvon Thibodeau. That name is really fun to say. He returns with 9 sacks under his belt. As a freshman, he took the Pac-12 by storm and was a total game changer. Alongside him are Jordan Scott and Austin Failui. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Again, I'm not good at pronouncing names. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here for analysis, who are also returning starters. The linebackers, again, they lose Troy Dye, but they do gain 2 5-stars in Justin Flo and Noah Sewell. 2 5-star linebackers coming in as freshmen. They're going to have a big impact. If they can come in and have a freshman impact like Kayvon Thibodeau did last year, then the sky is the limit for this defense. The only other cemented starter in this linebacker group is probably Isaac Slade Matutia. But again, this is going to be a huge competition to watch out for. That brings me to the secondary, which finished 53rd in the country in yards allowed. Thomas Graham, Diomedor Lenoir, Javon Holland, and Nick Pickett are all talented leaders of the secondary. They just need to take a step forward to improve. Overall, this Oregon roster is the best roster hands down in Pac-12. The main worry is who will start at quarterback for the Ducks. The talent is all around. Jim Moorhead and Mario Cristobal just need a signal caller to separate himself from the competition. Fortunately for Oregon, the beginning of the season before the bye week is kind to them, and it should allow them to find out who will be that starter before they get into the meat of the schedule. Oregon opens the season with Colorado, which should be an easy win, then travels to Washington State, but really and truly, home and away games don't matter at all this year. We won't have any fans, so they should be able to handle the Cougars, who are under a new head coach. Then they have a shot at revenge hosting Arizona State. Listen, the Sun Devils are a strong team, but last year they really needed home field advantage in their crowd to help them pull off the major upset. Now that all these games will be on an even playing field, it really depends on the roster, the coaching, and overall mesh of the two. Oregon is just too complete when they match up against the Sun Devils. The Ducks will beat Oregon State before heading into an important bye week. By this point of the season, the Ducks should be undefeated, and this bye week helps them solidify the quarterback position, whomever it may be at that time. Coincidentally, the Ducks face two of the top defenses in the Pac-12 in a row, Washington and Cal. The good thing is, both teams struggled on offense last year, and it won't be the same level as Oregon this season. So Oregon probably going to have a better defense and offense. So when you put those two together, they're probably going to get the win here. The Ducks might have a scare between these two games, but they will pull them off. Now Oregon faces USC, the best team matchup-wise on their schedule. A squad who can pass all over the field with Keaton Slovis versus a defense which wasn't perfect last year in the secondary. Oregon needs the offense to be running at a high level by this point in the season. I give them the benefit of the doubt, but this game is definitely an upset watch for me. After USC, Oregon plays Arizona, Stanford, and Utah. We will start with the Wildcats, who have been moving in every direction except forward under Kevin Sumlin, who will probably get fired this season, so win. Then David Shaw Stanford comes up, which is an interesting program, which had its worst record in a very long time at 4-8 last year. This sort of feels like a Notre Dame when Notre Dame went 4-8 a couple of years ago when they were riddled with injuries. Stanford last year had that same situation. They don't have the talent to beat Oregon, but they are Stanford, and this is a rivalry game and one that has brought great games in the past. We could see Davis Mills break out and scare the Ducks, but I still think Oregon gets the win. Finally, the Ducks end the season on Utah, a team which was totally outmatched by Oregon last year in the Pac-12 championship. Listen, the Utes just lose way too much to beat an Oregon team which will be taking massive steps forward this year, especially on the defense that I'm excited to see. The Oregon Ducks, under my predictions, are set to go 10-0 in the regular season, and they really benefit from losing that Ohio State game in the non-con this year. We could see the Oregon Ducks in the playoffs in 2020. I'd love to know your thoughts on Oregon. Thanks for watching the End Zone. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment so we can move the chains.